Okay, a new patch equals a brand new meta. The question is, with all these class updates and changes, which specs get the most out of this update? Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Guy. We got a big video for you all today discussing how specs have been performing and how they're looking to come out of Tuesday's update. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it with the first one being the Death Knight. Now listen, I will say overall, the star of the show for Death Knight has been Unholy. Their presence in a Mythic Plus and rating environment has been top-notch for most of Season 1 so far, and it's definitely looking to stay that way. Surprisingly, however, they are actually getting some additional changes. A new talent that works between Putrefy and Death and Decay, smoother interactions between their rotation, new spell effects tied to the Rider of the Apocalypse talent tree, and increase the damage of your Death Coil and Epidemic while you have multiple horsemen aiding you. So hopefully enough of these updates for also Sand Lane can make it a little bit more competitive with Rider, but either way, it doesn't matter. This spec is doing fantastic. These changes for Unholy definitely look to make them a little bit better, potentially, heading into the new patch overall, which is a great sign for this spec, considering how well it's been doing for Mythic and rating so far. So when it comes to Unholy, they definitely are winning. Now, for Frost Death Knight, however, honestly, they definitely have seen better days. Seeing as they've been increasingly underperforming for Mythic Plus and rating, we were hoping for some good updates to them for their talents heading into the new season. Now, surprisingly, they are actually getting a slight nerf to their Frostworm's Fury Apex talent, but getting updated is the Deathbringer hero talent tree, giving you harder hitting exterminates as well as frost sights to strike enemy as well after the effect. Now, as these may be improvements, I don't think this is going to change the spot, Frost Death Knight is in right now, and I don't expect them to magically improve drastically overnight considering how good Unholy is right now. So sadly, Frost Death Knight will most likely stay about the same, which is not that good. Lastly, when it comes to Blood Death Knight, they've actually recently saw some buffs the other day, and surprisingly, they actually moved up in the meta quite a bit. More durability and damage is something Blood Death Knight desperately needed because their self-sustain is already through the roof, and Blood Death Knight overall looks to be actually doing great heading into the new season. They're not getting immediate changes on Tuesday with the patch update, but that doesn't mean they haven't improved, so overall Blood Death Knight is a winner as well. Moving on now to Demon Hunter, let's start with the easy one being Devour. Devour has been absolutely excellent across the board, being the new kid on the block in Midnight for both Mythic Plus and rating. In the right hands, Devour can quite literally top damage in all forms of content, and it's not looking to change heading into the new season. They're getting more survivability through Soul Immolation and a wide variety of changes coming to Void Scarred, potentially making it a gameplay option for more on-demand damage in certain fights for Mythic Plus and rating. I'm really excited to see what Void Scarred can potentially do in PvE fights and in the content in this new patch, because a lot of these changes seem to be pretty meaningful. More damage on Hungering Slash, Reap, Void Ray, Collapsing Star, and even resets on Soul Immolation. So Demon Hunter, even though they're in an excellent spot, they're looked to be even doing better heading into next season. When it comes to Vengeance, sadly, they haven't been performing up to expectations and performance that they are used to. Usually, Vengeance is one of the best tanks in the game for Mythic Plus, but right now, their durability just isn't where it should be. Not only that, for their raid fights, Vengeance is actually drastically getting overlooked compared to some other specs like Brewmaster, Protection Warrior, and Guardian. They, of course, did recently see some buffs, as all tanks did, but heading into the new season, Vengeance is still lacking in raw durability compared to some other tanks. And lastly, we have Havoc Demon Hunter. This is another spec that sadly is just getting overlooked by its counterpart, being Devourer right now, with how well they're performing. Pretty much across the board, Devourer just beats Havoc top to bottom, and not only that, Havoc is just pretty average to subpar in most content at the moment. So for right now, it looks like Blizzard is trying to just make Devourer shine above the rest and the star of the show. Moving on for Druid, let's kick things off with Balance. Balance rotationally has definitely seen improvements heading into Midnight, but just as of recently, they haven't been performing too well. But with the last few buffs they've gotten, they've actually shot higher up in the tier, which is good for them overall, so I would say they're in a decent spot. When it comes to a rating environment, they've been doing well. The problem is Mythic Plus, where they can't keep up with some other specs in terms of AoE, which is kind of unusual for Balance. Heading into the new season, Blizzard is trying to update their AoE damage by adjusting the Meteorite's talent. This should at least give them some more AoE damage potential, but it's not looking to change anything too much. Balance is just going to stay the same as an average or slightly above average DPS contender, which isn't actually a problem. For Feral Druid at the moment in Mythic Plus, this is where they shine. Their AoE damage is absolutely insane, very exceptional damage, but when it comes to a raiding environment, they have definitely seen better days. The only changes they're getting are to their Apex talent to give them some more damage potential overall, as it's probably one of the worst Apex talents in the game. I don't see these changes shooting them up magically overnight, but improvements here technically are improvements overall. Feral might get a slight nudge, but nothing too crazy. When it comes to Guardian Druid, they dominated most of Season 1 so far, but after continuous nerfs over and over and over again, they slightly dropped in terms of meta contention for both Rating and Mythic Plus. I will say their damage potential is still pretty crazy, and Blizzard is giving them a few more interactions with Wild Guardian, Galactic Guardian, and your regrowths cast by Dream Guide. So overall, not the most game-breaking updates, so Guardian looks to stay relatively about the same and above average tank. Restoration Druid has dominated all throughout Season 1 for Mythic Plus, and it's looking to stay that way because they're actually getting more damage in the balanced form of DPS and some slight adjustments to their Everbloom Apex talent. Overall, Druid is looking to still dominate Mythic Plus environment top to bottom, and I'm actually really happy for them right now. Moving on to Evoker, now by far the star of the show here has to be Augmentation. This spec, put in the right environment and in the right hands, is by far one of the best DPS specs in the entire game. It's dominating for both Mythic Plus and Raid right now, and it could be looking to improve heading into the 0.5 patch as well. The only changes they're actually getting worth mentioning are for Inferno's Blessing for a damage increase, and your effects that extend Ebb and Might can now also extend Inferno's Blessing, which actually is quite interesting. Augmentation is still looking to do great heading into the new season. Shout out to Augmentation. Now, when it comes to their healer counterpart, Preservation, as of lately, sadly, they have been struggling. Blizzard pretty much top to bottom is trying to change that and help them specifically for Mythic Plus environment with some new talents and adjustments. There's a new talent called Temporal Barrier, which is a big shield that applies echoes on allies around you, temporal anomaly buffs, mana cost reductions, and then Fluttering Seedling changes as well. I will say overall, these should be some good changes for Preservation. I'm not just sure though, because I don't know if they're going to, be brought up into meta contention just because of this. Specs like Restoration Druid and some other healer specs in the game, they're just really, really dominant right now. Overall, though, I will say Preservation is technically improving. I just don't know by how much. When it comes to Devastation, they're actually getting no changes at all. And because of how strong Augmentation is, this is one of those situations where this spec is getting overlooked and their counterpart is just dominating. They haven't been doing the best in Mythic Plus or Rating, so I guess it is what it is. They still have some incredible on-demand damage, so that's a plus, but overall, Devastation not doing too great at the moment. Moving into Hunter with the first one, we have Marksmanship. Now, surprisingly across the board, for Mythic Plus and Rating, Marksmanship has actually been dominating. Now, I'm no Marksmanship connoisseur, but surprisingly, they're actually getting a ton of updates heading into this new season, which is crazy to think about. They're getting a ton of changes across a wide variety of abilities, brand new talents that brings, explosive shot back into the game. They get lock and load back, and then giving a ton of interactions with your kit again. Now, listen, I don't know if this is going to make them better or worse, so I'm going to need you guys to help me in the comment section below with this one, because I'm a little bit confused. Of course, I'll have it listed on screen, all the changes, but man, Marksmanship Hunter getting all these updates and changes after they've been in a really good spot was a pretty big surprise to me. The only nerf was the Sentinel nerf, with their precise shots getting down from, I believe, 40% to 10%, which, overall, I don't know if that's too bad of a thing. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. When it comes to survival overall, they've been pretty much average across the board, and in case you're wondering, there's nothing wrong with that. They're just not meta by all means, but they're definitely not in a bad spot either. They're giving some slight talent adjustments to, to that lunge talent, shrapnel bomb, and then some damage increase to their hog, pet that comes out with, Hacky Leader Hero Talent Tree, as well as Wildfire Bomb. So a couple more interactions and updates, nothing too crazy. I would say hopefully these changes should increase them slightly, but I will admit Survival isn't getting anything nuclear here. I think they're just going to stay just about average. Nothing wrong with that. Lastly, you have Beast Mastery Hunter, which is similar to Survival, has been pretty average throughout the season, which isn't a bad thing. However, I will say that Beast Mastery isn't getting any updates at all. So while other DPS specs are getting changes and updates and improvements, a class that's been pretty average to subpar, not getting anything, should drop them surprisingly a little bit. So a little bit worried about Beast Mastery Hunter. Moving on next, we have Mage. This is a pretty quick section here. The star of the show, we all know, is Frost Mage. They're in meta contention for both Mythic Plus and Raid across the board. Very straightforward rotation, incredible on-demand damage, and just top to bottom, they've been crushing Season 1. Now, Frost Mage isn't getting any updates heading into the new season, which is completely fine. They're top of the ladder right now, so leaving them as is, that's fine by me. When it comes to Arcane Mage, the sad truth of the matter is that they're simply not even close to Frost Mage right now in any form of content. Not only that, they're performing incredibly poor inside of a raiding environment, which left me hoping for, the major updates and changes for them heading into the new patch. But sadly, they did not get that. The only update they got was to Arcane Pulse to increase its cast time, at 4 arcane charges. So once again, I'm kind of worried because where all these other classes are getting major updates and, changes, Arcane is staying pretty much exactly the same, and it's going to make them drop even further, which is pretty sad. Lastly, we also have Fire Mage, which is in a very similar spot to Arcane. This is a spec that's, obviously way too reliant on perfect gear stats, as well as a great group from Mythic Plus to be able to perform as exceptional as they should be. You need a lot of mobs to be able to make Fire Mage viable, and the problem is your damage outside of combustion is just incredibly poor, and we were hoping for some updates, but sadly, Fire Mage did not get any. So that's a major problem. Just remember, of course, every spec is viable in World of Warcraft, of course, to some extent. We're just talking about how these classes are looking to change heading into the new patch at a high level. So Fire and Arcane, definitely not looking good for them. Moving on now to Monk, we have, of course, the star of the show being Brewmaster. This spec is just still miles ahead of every other tank right now, and it's by far the best tank spec in. The only changes they're getting heading into the new season is some slight updates to Master of Harmony, which doesn't really matter considering Shadowpan is incredible right now. So overall, Brewmaster Monk looking to stay on top heading into the new patch. Mistweaver Monk, however, also has been performing pretty well throughout the first season. Sadly, though, they're actually getting nerfed. Their healing reduction overall is getting nerfed. Shayloon's gift is getting nerfed, which is definitely not the greatest thing ever. They're also getting some slight changes to Master of Harmony and their fist weaving potential with a new Harmonic Surge and potential energy interaction, which could be kind of interesting. Mistweavers, you guys gotta let me know how you feel about this in the comment section below. Overall, though, I gotta say, I think this is a nerf because Shayloon's gift was amazing, a big chunk of your healing, as well as a 5% flattener overall. Definitely not great for them, I would say. When it comes to Windwalker Monk, however, they've been pretty much just middle of the pack for both Mythic Plus and Rating. We were hoping for some, decent updates for them, but instead, we really aren't getting anything. You're getting a couple new interactions with Zenith that give you the ability, to Zenith Stomp when you want as an active after you cast the ability. So that's kind of interesting. Some slight updates to Tiger's Eye Brew, which I believe overall is a nerf. So I don't think this is going to do much to Monk. It's seeming like at the moment they're just going to stay the same or potentially get even nerfed a little bit, which is odd. I don't know. You guys got to let me know how you feel about this in the comment section below. When it comes to Paladin, first up we have Holy, and this is a spec that has been under, a lot of fire over the last season because there really hasn't been anything going on with them. They've been performing pretty lackluster overall. Now, we were hoping for some major changes, and they pretty much just got healing buff to all of their major abilities like Holy Shock, Word of Glory, Light of Dawn, and even Greater Judgment's Absorb effect, which is nice. Not only that, they are getting some more control over their Beacon of Savor. Wherever you Flash of Light or Holy Light a target, it moves your beacon to that target, which is pretty nice as well. Overall, these definitely are improvements for Paladin. I don't know if it's going to put them, in the top tier. So I guess we're going to have to see come Tuesday to see if the improvements really help them out. Now, when it comes to Protection Paladin, they've been a little bit underperforming compared to some other tanks in terms of raw durability. But recently, they just got some updates. And surprisingly, not to their durability, though, but mostly to their damage, which is quite crazy because Protection Paladin's damage overall has always been really solid. So them getting more damage potential was really odd to me. Hopefully they get some more durability changes up, in the future soon, but Paladin looking to stay about the same, which is just average. Retribution, however, on the other hand, has been performing exceptionally well this season for both Mythic Plus and Rating, and they aren't getting any updates heading the new patch, which isn't a bad thing because if it's not broke, don't fix it. Retribution is going to be just fine. They're in a great spot. They're scaling well. Happy for them overall. For Priest, starting off, we have Shadow, and over the last few weeks, Shadow Priest has been getting buffs, and overall, I gotta say, at Midnight, they're actually in a really good spot now at this point. They've been performing well for both Mythic Plus and Rating, with a fun rotation, a new thematic look this expansion. I mean, things are looking good for Shadow, so they don't need any changes, they didn't get any, and I think they're in a good spot. Next up, we have Discipline. Now, in a Rating environment, Discipline actually puts out really good HPS at the moment right now, which is a real surprise. The problem is, heading into this patch, they're getting nerfs to Atonement, which of course is their #1 go-to, right? So them indirectly nerfing this is also going to nerf them from Mythic Plus, which is a problem. To supplement that, they're going to be getting an increase to all of their other heals by 25%, which should help a bit, but overall, this definitely has to be a nerf, I'm pretty sure. And lastly, we have Holy Priest, which honestly has definitely seen better days at this point. They are getting a slight 8% buff to healing this patch, which technically it's an improvement, but I don't know if this is going to suddenly put them as one of the best healers in the game at the moment. So sadly, it's not looking too great for them, just flat 8% buff. Moving on to Rogue, first up we have Assassination, where out of nowhere they seem to jump into the meta contention for Rogue, overtaking Subtlety's spot. They've been performing exceptionally well in a Mythic Plus environment and even in Rating on specific fights. which is a big surprise, personally, to me. What's also going to help them is a brand new interaction with their Deathstalker mark, where you get a brand new ability called Mark for Death, where you can actually swap your Deathstalker's mark to an active target of your choice after it's active, which should help them, with their hero talent rotationally, which is nice. Same thing for Subtlety Rogue with the Deathstalker's mark update, and with Assassination Rogue being the meta option for Rogue right now in Mythic Plus, sadly, Subtlety Rogue is slowly dropping from contention at the moment. Lastly, we have Outlaw, and sadly, this is another spec, in my opinion, that I think desperately needs help and just didn't really get it heading into the new patch. They got a couple new interactions with their, hero talent tree in the Trickster section. Nothing crazy here. I don't think this is going to shoot them up. I think they have a lot of problems with this spec overall, and yeah, not loving where this spec is heading into the new patch. Starting off with Shaman, I would say the best spec overall, we got to give it to Elemental. Their on-demand damage is incredible, utility top-notch. They're actually very consistent in terms of DPS as well, and over the last few weeks, the buffs really did them, a lot of good. So overall, they're not going to need changes, and to no one's surprise, they're not getting any. Elemental Shaman is looking to stay the same, above average in both Mythic Plus and rating, which isn't a problem. Now, Enhancement Shaman, I will say, has definitely seen some better days. Not performing great in both Mythic Plus and rating has been quite a hit for them. And we're definitely hoping for, some changes heading into the new patch. But sadly, Enhancement really didn't get anything. And with everyone else getting a bunch of updates, Enhancement's looking to stay below average, which is not good. When it comes to Restoration, this is a spec that could definitely have used work. So overall, they're getting an 8% flat healing done increase, which is nice, as well as a flat 30% damage increase overall to damage, which should help them in a Mythic Plus environment. Like usual, Restoration Shaman, they bring some incredible raid tools and group utility, which is nice, but I still think Resto Shaman's healing output is just a little bit low, and they could use some more adjustments, so I'm not in love with this at all. When it comes to Warriors, surprisingly, out of nowhere, Arms is just crushing it right now in a Mythic Plus environment. From a pure AoE perspective, their damage is one of the best in the game if you pair it with a physical comp beside them. And with that being said, they're getting some slight nerfs to their AoE potential for Mortal Wounds and Cleave. But both their hero talent trees are getting improvements for Slayer and Colossus, which definitely seem nice. More consistent Demolish use, Blade Storm damage increase. Arms Warrior seems to be in a good spot heading into the new patch, so I'm excited. For Fury Warrior, however, they're slowly dropping in terms of overall potential. They're getting the same changes Slayer that Arms got, but they're actually getting nerfed to Mountain Thane, which definitely has me a little bit worried about this spec in Mythic Plus. Overall, I think Arms Warrior is still going to be performing better, and sadly, Fury is going to drop. And lastly, you have Protection, which overall has been pretty much just about average in terms of rating in Mythic Plus. Not only that, they're just getting some updates to Colossus to potentially make it a bit more viable. Nothing crazy here. I still think Mountain Thane is going to be the meta way to go. And last but certainly not least, we have the dominating Warlock. Starting off with Demonology, they're S tier across the board for Mythic Plus and rating. Literally as simple as that. They're not getting any changes really. The overall Demonology is looking to still dominate heading into the new season. For Destruction Warlock, this is another spec that's been on the rise for the last month now, and for both Mythic Plus and rating, I gotta say they're both in a really good spot right now. They're definitely not getting any real updates that are gonna make them crazy, which is totally fine, and it's definitely gonna keep them just above average throughout the remainder of the patch as well, so nothing wrong with Destruction at the moment. Affliction Warlock, on the other hand, was starting to perform very well, but they're sadly just not scaling as much as the other two specs. This is one of the specs I was actually wrong about, and I was hoping they'd get some updates to their single target DPS, because as of right now, their damage profile for the raid is not great, and their single target DPS in a full Mythic Plus build is really poor at the moment. So I was hoping Affliction Lock would get some updates heading in the new season, but sadly they aren't, and they're going to look to drop in terms of overall potential. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is every class and spec and how they're looking to perform heading into the new season. Let me know what spec you're planning on maining in the comment section below, and if they got buffed or nerfed. By the way, if you guys are interested, over on our second channel, we are posting news videos pretty consistently talking about the state of World of Warcraft, all things coming, all that fun stuff. So if you guys are interested in seeing some more Comeback Kids content, check out the second channel, go check it out, like, subscribe, whatever may have you. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing or check out one of the videos you see on screen here to stay up to date on all things Warcraft. My name's Sky for the Comeback Kids. It's an absolute pleasure to make content for you all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.